On this week's 2-minute tip, the first crop I like to plant for my fall garden. It's the middle of August here in Zone 8B and it's still pretty daggum hot. We were in the 110 range of heat index the last few days, so it's pretty scorching out here. But if we think about it, we've only got probably another month of this hot weather before the temperature starts to break and our fall crops can really start producing. So it's time to go ahead and get some of these fall crops in the ground in preparation for when that temperature does break. And so the first crop that I like to plant in preparation for fall is pole beans. Now we grow pole beans in the spring too, but I really like growing them in the fall. For whatever reason, they always just do better in the fall for me. So fall is my favorite time to grow pole beans. Now we've got a couple of great options as far as pole beans go. We've got the rattlesnake beans, which I've grown many times. They do really well. We've got these Christmas lima beans that are a climbing lima bean that's speckled. Those do awesome in the fall. And then we've got these Kentucky Wonder pole beans, which is a green pole bean, and that's what I planted today. Now pole beans don't like it really hot because they'll start to drop blooms if the temperatures get too hot. But these here have a date to maturity of 50 days. So if we plant them right now in the middle of August, they should start blooming and producing in early October, and we know it's going to be a lot cooler by then. Planting these Kentucky pole beans is really simple. First, I laid off where my row was going to be. This plot here is about 60 foot long. I put my T-post up to hold my trellis. With this Hortonova trellis here, I put the T-post every 10 feet along the row. So it took me 7 T-posts for this 60-foot row. And this Hortonova mesh trellis here is the bee's knees. We used it on cucumbers earlier this year and really loved it. So much easier to install and set up than those old cattle panels. So we got our Hortonova trellis here. We strung it out, cut it to length, and tied it to the T-post with zip ties. And then I just took the handle end of my garden rake here and punched a hole right underneath that trellis about every 3 to 4 inches. Since we're growing these guys vertically, we can plant them pretty close together. So we punch a hole and then we drop 1 seed per hole. These seeds got really good germination, so 1 seed per hole should do it. And then we just come back along there and cover it up with some soil and pack it in real good. So in just about 50 days or so, in the beginning of October, we should start having loads of nice green pole beans produced all along this trellis here, and they'll produce really well for us on up to about the end of November when we usually get our first frost. So if you're itching to get some fall crops in the ground, go ahead and get started with some pole beans. I'll put some links below to our pole bean varieties and this Hortonova trellis here that makes everything super easy. I hope you enjoyed this week's 2-minute tip. We'll see you next week.